Hey there and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be talking about the water crisis in India. I've already talked about the water crisis in Tamil Nadu, which is done in Tamil, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. Water, water nowhere, not a drop to drink. This would be an apt tagline for the 21st century where cities are running out of water like Cape Town, Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi, etc. And they're looking at a severe water crisis in the years to come ahead. India suffers from a water crisis. Generally, in summer months, there will be a shortage of water and people would wait for the rains and rains would come and save them. But in the recent years, water crisis has developed and the people are not yet dependent on rain, and as rains are irregular and people could not depend on rain for water. About 80% of India's water goes for agriculture, which means that the water crisis will make us even run for food. And about 2 lakh people every year die due to water problems like drinking impure water and so on. According to the CWMI, which is Composite Water Management Index, 21 major cities in India will run out of water by the year 2020, which means that a lot of cities like Chennai, Bangalore, Delhi will suffer from a water crisis. The CWMA also states that the reason behind the crisis is a lack of water management and overall exploitation of water resources. The CWMA also states that the Indian water usage by the year 2030 will double the amount which we are using now, which means that the water crisis problem will get bigger as the years go on. This has called to the union government so that they have even formed a ministry for water, which is known as Jal Shakti. So in this video, let's take a look at what are the problems behind this, and the first reason would be probably natural causes. There has been a lot of dry spells in the recent years, and the lack of rain has made communities to go without water. And the people who have been just dependent on rainwater cannot depend more on rainwater because the rains are inconsistent and the people do not have enough water storage facilities which could help them to save water and use them in the future. So now we will come to the second reason. The second reason will be the over exploitation of water bodies and our water resources. If we just take the example of Chennai, Chennai gets water from the areas where there is water. So the areas without water will get the areas where water is present, and thousands of liters will be transported from this place to that place, and the people who are transporting water will get a lot of money by doing this, and they are doing a very good business out of it. But this is a practice that should not be done because the people who have water will lose the water they have, and it will just make the scarcity worse. Overuse of groundwater, destruction of water bodies, and pollution have been done in a very large scale in the name of development. For example, even in Chennai, I have seen with my own eyes that lakes get covered with soil and people just build apartments over it. So this causes destruction of water bodies, and the water bodies which present in an area help in regulating the amount of water which is in the ground. It is said that the 2015 Chennai floods is due to encroachment of water bodies. What happens is water bodies act like a sponge. When it rains, the water bodies take in the water and send them to groundwater. When there is a scarcity of water, the water inside the ground rises up and they keep the groundwater at a level. So when we destroy the water bodies, this balance is lost, and there is a flash flood which has happened in Jammu and Kashmir, Chennai, Mumbai, and this is the reason behind that. There is a department called Minor Irrigation in India where they take a census about water bodies and the number of water bodies present in India. In 2001, there has been about 5.56 lakhs of water bodies in India. In 2007, about 5.23 lakh water bodies were found in India. In just 6 years, about 30,000 water bodies have been destroyed and they have been converted into land. I could be sure that the number of water bodies in the present day would be well below 5 lakhs. The major exploitations which has been done by the following states: Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan and Gujarat. All the states have contributed to the destruction of water bodies, but these states have destroyed most number of water bodies in the time where the census has been taken. Pollutions have also caused a lot of problems with the water bodies. In Chennai, everybody knows that Kuvam is a very big sewer, but Kuvam 50 years ago had water which was drinkable and people used to fish water from that river. There's a similar incident in Bangalore. 2 years ago, in Bellandur Lake, it started frothing and toxic foam began to come out of the lake. This is mainly due to the industrial effluence which has been dumped into the lake and people connecting their sewer lines into the lake. This toxic foam from the lake has caused the neighborhoods near the lake to suffer out of respiratory problems, and even this toxic foam also caught fire, which caused a lot of fire hazards and a lot of other problems to the commuters which are traveling through that area. A survey done by Karnataka Pollution Control Board has shown that out of the 67 lakes they have surveyed, none had potable drinking water and all the lakes which they surveyed were polluted. It also showed that 600 water bodies were destroyed in the year 2001 to 2011 in Bangalore, and there has been a rise in 50% of Bangalore population. So I guess you could relate between those two, and the population increase has caused people to build more houses and they destroy lakes in the process. It's not just Bangalore or Chennai. Many Indian major cities are facing the same problem. So let's come back to the example of Chennai. Palikarnai is a wet marshland where about 5,500 hectares of land was present in the year 1970. But in the recent years, it has reduced to about 600 hectares, which shows that there has been a rapid development and people have encroached the marshland for building structures. It's not just that. Palikarnai also hosts about 337 species of wildlife. The peasant-tailed jacana, Indian cormorant are just a few examples of birds living there. Snakes like Russell vipers and a plethora of flora and fauna are found there. I'll come to the third point. The third point is wastage of water. I know you're looking at me like you don't waste water and you use water resourcefully, but that does not mean everybody in India uses water resourcefully. According to research done by Central Water Commission, it shows that India receives 4,000 cubic meters of water just in rains, and India just needs 3,000 cubic meters of water per annum, which means that we have an excess of 1,000 cubic meters of water. This also means that we are not doing enough rainwater harvesting, we are not recycling the grey waters, we are not having enough sewage treatment plants to cater to the water needs of people. The water drains, which are generally in cities, generally go to rivers or just go to seas where it gets dumped, and that water is not used resourcefully and that water just gets wasted. The fourth and the most deadliest reason would be climate change. Face it, India is one of the most vulnerable countries to climate change. Rising sea levels, increasing heat waves, lack of rains, we can already see the symptoms of climate change and what could happen if this continues. There has been a continuous range of stronger storms, more melting of glaciers and ice in Himalayas. There has been a drought in Chennai and many other cities. There has been a reduction of rains. There has been wildfires. There has been desertification of land and a lot of problems which has been linked to climate change. Even water scarcity can be linked to climate change. So we can discuss about what we can do and how we can prevent the water crisis in the future. 1. Restoring lakes and rivers. In India, many rivers and lakes are in a very bad condition. Either they are polluted, they are dry, or they are being over polluted for their clean water, and people are building structures over the rivers. We know that Ganges and Yamuna are highly polluted. Kuvam is a sewer drain for the city of Chennai. But restoring these rivers to the original pristine state would mean that more aquatic life could live and we could use the water nominally even for drinking. So let's take the example of Ganges. Ganges is a very big river in the northern part of India. It serves about 500 million people with water. But in the recent years, there has been a lot of industrial affluence that gets added into the river. People also burn dead bodies and they add the ashes into the river. Not just that, people throw dead corpses into the river. This has just increased the pollution levels of the river, which has made the water to be undrinkable. Yeah, not just that, many aquatic organisms that are endemic to the Ganges are in danger. It's like the Ganges dolphin, the gharial crocodile are in danger because of the pollution levels and people exploiting the rivers. But campaigns like Namami Gange have made sure that the pollution levels are getting slowly reduced and people could make sure that Ganges would be a very clean and pristine river in the near future. One of the choices that people could make is to take initiative. The people could join NGO, you could go to lake cleanups, beach cleanups, and you could clean up lakes and beaches. You could help dig new lakes. If you are in a village, you could ask your village elders, and in a gram panchayat where people could ask for digging new lakes and creation of new water bodies will make sure that the people will have water in the summer months where there is less water. So I think it will be high time so that the people start digging lakes and people preserving the existing water bodies. So let's see how we could restore the lakes and bring it to the pristine levels. First, we have to cut down the industrial effluents and sewage which enters the rivers or the lakes. So this could be done by telling the factories to install filter systems and reuse the water, and sewage people should make sure that the sewage is contained within the houses and flats. The second one would be to increase the dissolved oxygen levels inside the lake or the river. Dissolved oxygen is the number of oxygen particles which are found in million particles of water. DO, which is the abbreviation for dissolved oxygen. So in ideal lake or river, the dissolved oxygen level is 5 parts per million. but in a polluted lake, it's about 1 part per million. If the dissolved oxygen in the lake or a river reduces, the aquatic life cannot live on the lake and the water becomes undrinkable. The third thing would be to maintain the lake. After the dissolved oxygen has been restored and the industrial affluence has been stopped, the only thing that we have to do is to maintain the lake and make sure that the lake does not go dry, and make sure that we desil the lake, we dig the lake to make it more deeper, and we make sure that the does not get polluted in the near future. So let's come to the second solution. The second solution would be to do rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a very simple method which can be done and accomplished in even small or large scale projects. So let's have a rainwater fact. If it rains for 1 centimeter and you have a tank of dimension 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, in that 1 centimeter of rain, you could get about 1000 liters of water which can be used for 3 days. Rainwater harvesting was made compulsory in Tamil Nadu way back in 2001. But other cities like Surat, Bangalore, Mumbai are not far away and just followed the trend. So I'll leave a link so that you could read about that in the article below. Rainwater harvesting is a pretty simple process which can be done in our rooftops and roads. For example, in our rooftop, say we have a pipe which goes to a rainwater tank, which is in the shape of a square or a circle. If it is a square, the side of the square is 3 feet, which is 90 centimeters, and if it is a circle, the diameter of the circle is at least 3 feet, which is again 90 centimeters. The depth of this tank is about 90 centimeters, which is again 3 feet, and has broken bricks, blue metals, that is jelly, and sand in that particular order. The rainwater which comes from the rooftop goes into this tank and goes to the aquifer or to the rainwater harvesting tank, which is built in the underground, and the water which goes to the rainwater harvesting tank can be used again. So let me tell you the power of rainwater harvesting. A flat in the area of Bangalore in Chennai collected 1 lakh liters of water from just 1 hour of a rain in a single day. Not just that, a person who just spent about 250 rupees for pipes and barrels collected about 200 liters of water in just 10 minutes of rain. So you could see that a lot of amount of water can be collected from the rooftop, and that could be reused in the later, so that we could survive this water crisis and future water crisis. There are other non-conventional ways to conserve water. For example, if we do not need a concrete pavement, we can substitute a concrete pavement with sand, and we could use pervious paver blocks, where the paver blocks are generally made of concrete and the water does not penetrate the paver block. A pervious paver block has a circular hole which can be filled with sand, and the rainwater can penetrate to the circular hole and it could go to the aquifer and replenish the aquifer. Another idea could be to create a gradient and have an iron grill over the walkway so that the water goes into the iron grill and reaches the groundwater. The third one is water recycling. Water recycling is a way where we could reduce the amount of water which we need. So as we give back the sewage water can be recycled, and that water can be used again and again. So a particular amount of water stays inside the city, and a very less liters of water is lost during the recycling process. So the most of the water which gets recycled goes back in the city. Indian metros like Mumbai and Chennai have water recycling plants. In Mumbai, about 80% of the water from sewers is being recycled by 8 STPs, and they send back the water into the city. Chennai has 12 STPs, which means the sewage treatment plants, and this water goes back in the city. But in Chennai, the suburbs and the outer areas of the city do not have water recycling plants, so that water goes into the drains, into the rivers, and into the lakes, and it gets wasted. Sewage treatment plants have a high infrastructure levels, and it would be only fair to depend upon the government for installing sewage treatment plants. But water recycling can be done at even a very small level, even at our homes. Our kitchen discharge and our hand wash and other simple domestic use discharge can be sent into the garden, so that water gets filtered as it goes into the soil, and that water replenishes the ground level. If apartments, offices, and those people get together, and if they try to build a water recycling plant in their offices or apartments, they could reuse the water which is being used in their apartments or offices. The fourth one, and probably the toughest one to do, is to stop climate change. As I said, climate change is one of the biggest problems for India, and India is very vulnerable to climate change. But climate change is also causing a lot of other problems. Though the problem of climate change is very enormous, and the people need drastic changes to stop climate change, the people are slowly waking up to it, and the people are slowly fighting against climate change. Some of the ways you can fight climate change is to buy a new electric vehicle, or you can reduce the energy amount of energy that you're using. You can reduce the amount of water that you're using. You can install solar panels and so on. As I said, climate change is a very big topic, and I'll break down climate change into simpler videos in the future. The last one would be to reduce the amount of water that we are using and to conserve water. For example, we could switch our taps to aerated taps or foam taps, where the taps reduce the amount of water that is being used. We could use buckets for bathing instead of bathing in the shower. We could use buckets for cleaning our cars and bikes instead of using a hose to just spray on water, as a lot of water gets wasted. Industries and offices have a lot of capital, and they could shift to methods where they reduce the amount of water that they use, which gives equally good results. For example, the Royal Enfield plant in Chennai saves about 18 lakhs liter per annum, as they have switched to wet wash to dry wash. In a wet wash, there is a lot of water which is being used to clean and wash the bikes. Now, in dry wash, they reduce the amount of water that is used to clean and wash the bikes. So, in times of scarcity and times of water crisis, this really comes hand in hand and it helps the people. The last thing should be to create awareness. Tell people that they must not waste water if they are seen wasting water. Especially teach kids so that the kids later grow up and they conserve water, they understand the value of nature and the environment. Share this video as it also creates awareness. Subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm your host Vignesh signing off, and I'll see you in the next one.